Toldos. Years ago, there was a gastrologist. He was a man who was about 80 years old. He wrote the book. The story goes back about 40 years ago. His name was Dr. Paulson. He was a Jew. He spoke Yiddish, and he was the expert in gastrology. He wrote the textbook, the medical textbook. When the younger doctors would gather around him, he was from New York. He was affiliated with Hopkins. You'd think, God forbid, he was God. The way the younger doctors, the interns, and whatever it is, it's like they worship the man. Years ago they used to worship doctors. Even doctors worship doctors. He was the expert. Okay, you understand? If you understand that, multiplied endlessly to God. Lahavdil. Okay? The Chaber said if you go Bein HaMesim, you go among the dead, you have to wash your hands when you come. What is Bein HaMesim? The Beis HaKvoros. You go into a cemetery, come out of the cemetery, you have to wash your hands. You have it. Abrami. Okay? Kosam Aril Simcha v'gimu sheish lito kodem shispal al HaKvoros. Yeah? He says before you even enter into the cemetery, you should wash your hands. Before. Because the person goes to a cemetery, you pray by a grave. You pray. The rochs and shenis b'shuva l'chatzah beis hakforos. Sheruchas ros malavin achos. Because these contaminated spirits, they escort the person, they follow the person. V'yeshnogin ozlichots gamaponim. Okay, some they even wash their faces. There's not a home minhag. Samachei. Who's it? Artzachaim, that's the Malbim. The Nes, it says, what about if you touch a corpse? Let's say the Chevra Kadisha. Chevra Kadisha, they actually touch the corpse. They prepare him for burial. Do they have to wash their hands after touching? What about if you enter into a room? Let's say a person is in a room and the person passes away. In the same room with the person. So it's one person. When you leave that room or they take the corpse out, you should wash your hands because you're exposed to that kind of. You didn't touch the person, but you were under the same roof. You're contaminated. When you leave the room, you should wash your hands. Or when they take the corpse out, they take the corpse to the morgue. So now you're in the room, and a person he goes and does his own business.
That's what I see every day. So the hospital, right? There's instruction instead of the room.
It's only, it seems to be, if you're in the same room. Like, ultimately, you never know. He says, it's the minog, it's a minog. What about if you're at a funeral? You didn't go, you weren't in the Kohen, and he's walking behind the hearse, 50 feet behind, which is permitted. He's not permitted to be within Dalar Amos, 6 feet of the hearse, right? There's a minog, any association with the dead, you wash your hands. He says, "Lavosa nogan v'tigul v'nogan lahakbid im yikonos odom b'dayis acher kodem shirachatz." That is important. That's what we do it. We're makbid that if you're at a cemetery, before you go into a structure, you wash your hands. Right? Usually, a person goes to usually you have a faucet outside the cemetery. People wash their. Or outside the building, the funeral chapel, they wash their hand. Let's say they don't have it, so usually you call ahead. And you tell people to leave water outside the house. You wash your hands before you go into the house. That's what's usually done. That's what he says. We're makbid that before you go into another structure, you wash your hands before you go into the other structure. Ramo, you're there. A minig is the equivalent of Torah. Kalov, a person blouses his clothing. Afterwards, you wash your hands. He says, "Afilo noga bekino shlomotza." Just the process itself. Even if the person didn't find a louse, he didn't find any lice in the clothing, you wash your hands. Bekino. What about if a person touches the louse itself? People today in schools, unfortunately, we grew up didn't. They check the kids for nits. It's so prevalent, because of infestation. I use the word infestation of third world countries. People bringing all kinds of things in the United States. It's not uncommon that even people live at the highest standard of hygiene. They're infected with lice. right? So he says, even if you touch the louse, because what does it represent, lice? Something dirt. It's a parasite. He says, Parush efshedai b'nekoyin. Parshas is another type of bug. It's not the louse. The more in Shabbos means parushim. Parush bites. It's a type of, but it's not similar to lice, to the louse. The way it's translated in the, it's called a stink bug. Parush is a stink bug. You squash it, gives off a terrible smell. That's what a parush is. Okay? Biyodo. If you touch your body, covered part of your body, because there's an accumulation of oil and sweat, also you have to wash your hands. Yotzi midatos, it says a person who's a Talmud Chacham, it causes him to forget his learning, and a person who's not the Talmud Chacham, ultimately it will destabilize him. Doesn't mean say he's unstable. This is important. You know, the Gemara says in Soto, why is it Soto? It's expected to be told it's called a Soto. It's spelled with a sin. Sin and shin, it's just where you put the dot, but the word is Shoto. A woman's a married woman. She has a family. I mean, it's foolish. It's like almost temporary insanity. How do you behave this way? The level of irresponsibility is not to be believed. So Gemara says, Nichnusa baruch shtus. It's like a spirit of insanity went into her. That's the otherwise it's not behaving rationally, responsibly. If you scratch all these things, if you don't remove this ruach hatumah, it creates a certain irrationality. You become irrational. Not how you can do the business deal, or in your etiquette, but anything which relates to spirituality, you become irrational, and it'll draw you to Aveira. It'll draw you to do it like Aveira gores Aveira. What you do one sin, it creates a certain impurity. That impurity draws you to another one. This ruach tumah will draw you to do Aveira. To my moram dein odem over Aveira ki nichnos bu ruach shtus. Of course, the Gemara. Okay.
Many years ago, Mr. Blick shared with me, we were at a funeral together, and said, why is it when we leave, we wash our hands? Heard this?
I've heard it from him many years ago. What do you say? I'll let you say it.
He said it's a takeoff of that procedure that they did when
Egla Rufa.
the Egla Rufa, when they
Right.
found the dead corpse.
Yodeinu lo shofchu sadam hazeh.
Yes, our hands
Did not shed this blood.
shed this blood, and that's why they wash their hands.
Even if you didn't come in contact. Any level of association. Over there was just...
You were in the proximity of a person.
Right, correct.
Right, trying to answer the question, there's no oath, there's no...
Right.
There's no
He says there it's minog. That's minog.
That's different.
And that's what it's taken off. The minog is taken off that. It's customary to it. It's not that you came in contact with the ruach ra. You touched the dead, you under the same roof as the corpse is one thing. But here it's any level of association, that's enough. The minute as we do it.
But and then with the lice is...
No, that's not minog.
different.
The lice represents something which is unclean. Levels.
It's one of the animals, right?
No, it's an insect. It's a parasite.
They were, they could
No. We said even if you delouse your clothing, you don't even find lice. The process itself creates a ruach tumah.
See, Rabbi, so when we were at a funeral the other day, and it was inside the sanctuary, and should we wash when we left?
Sure, definitely. What's the difference? It's like a funeral chapel. You're under the same roof with the court. We're saying here that even you're in a hospital room, person dies.
Same thing.
Same thing. You have to wash your hands. So it's not the end of the world. So you wash hands whenever you're able to wash your hands.
The ruach tumah that we have in the morning, that's from the neshama leaving or the neshama returning?
That's because the neshama left. Therefore, that leaves. Even when it comes back, if it fully comes back, you have a remnant of that contamination.
So it's when it leaves, the same thing with the dead body.
Right.
The neshama leaves the same way.
Correct. Harochitz pona v'lo nogvam, v'lo nigvam. You wash your face in the morning, and you don't dry v'lo nogvam miyofe. You didn't dry your face well. We have no dermatologists here. Pona mizbakos. It causes one's skin to actually crack. If you want to maintain the soft, Okay, the softness of the skin, that they shouldn't have any cracks. Oh, olabem shchin, or causes some level of shchin. Shchin is boils, irritations. Urefuaso dirchotz harbib meisilko. It's quoting the Gemara in Shabbos. So how do you recover? By washing with meisilka. It's beet juice. Water which has beet juice diluted in the water. Okay? What?
It would stain. Yeah,
It says meisilka. Meisilka.
I can understand this with cold, you know, you go out into the cold and your face is red, it can crack.
Civilians. Right. Probably.
I wouldn't think it would.
It's not simple. You know, today the water we drink is purified. Like, you know, there's certain regions, the water has so much minerals in it. Do you know the mineral content? So if you don't dry your face, all those minerals, they stay on your face. So what does it do to your skin? Right? You don't know the effect. So therefore, it affects it. Create a rash, boil, an infection, whatever it may be. Okay, that's the way I would explain it. Today we have soft water, we have this water, that water. Okay? But people today, you know, they feed their dogs first cut of meat and they eat the second cut. You know, that's how careful they are. Okay, let's see the Chobs Levovos.
You said washing hands going into the seven.
We don't do this.
I was going to translate it, but he also needs to translate someone's books, you know, has influence. Facebook.
I like the minhag of the same authority.
We'll see what we just said. Sure, or that's the on Essex.
Okay, we left off 638.